2 months ago, I got surgery to remove a mass from my neck, but a few days ago, I ran my first ever half marathon in 71:10. I documented my entire build-up, showing my hardest workouts and mental struggles, and in this video, I'll go over the keys to my success, my biggest lessons, and how I could improve in the future. As I said, this was my first ever half marathon, so I'm not saying that I'm an expert. I'm just saying that, hey, I've done it. I did it one time, I learned some stuff, and let's talk about it. So first off, I want to go into 5 of the things that I think were the keys to my success. So number 1, I would say consistency. I only had about 6 weeks to build up towards this race because I got surgery, had to take 2 weeks off running, and then had 6 weeks until the race. I was able to be pretty consistent during that entire time period. David, my coach, writes my training in a way where it's very flexible, it's very adaptable to how I feel. Yes, I have some days where we have something planned and I have to modify it, but because we're so open to modification, I was able to avoid any major setbacks during this build-up, which was huge. That leads to the second big key for my success, which was mileage. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm not a high mileage person, and it's crazy, but in the last 6 weeks, I was able to build up to running 60, even 75 miles in some weeks, and it felt really good, and I didn't feel like I was on the brink of injury during that. And I think that especially for these longer distance road races, having more mileage in the legs does help, because whereas in track, I feel like the limiter is definitely your speed and your speed endurance, in the roads, it can definitely be more of like, what can your legs handle? Do your legs cramp? Are they able to deal with the pounding of this pace for this long? The third key to my success is very simple. It's just strides. And if you know David Roach, you know that this is very David coded because he is a huge advocate for strides. But I've found that since I started working with him as my coach, my speed has improved so much and it stays high through the entire year because I'm always doing strides. At least 2 to 3 days a week, I do hard strides, and that's either 5 by 20 seconds flat, 6 by 20 seconds uphill, or 4 by 30 seconds uphill. And I do these at like 95% effort. They are almost a sprint. I'm not just out there, oh yeah, let's feel good. No, I'm gunning for it. And I think that that really helps me like keep speed even when I'm not doing specific speed workouts. Like during this build, I did so much threshold, but almost no speed. However, when I did get on the track at the end of the build, it felt really natural to run 440 mile pace, which I completely give the credit to strides on that one. Don't underestimate the power of mileage and strides. I really think that is the core of training. And then the fourth key was just that I put in a really solid effort every workout. Now during this build, I showed a lot of doubt, and I'll talk about that more later. But even when I was doubting myself and unsure in workouts and not super happy with the paces that I was able to hit, I did continually put in a really solid effort every single workout. And I think that is important because your body remembers that effort. You know what it feels like to hurt, to push through that. It's important to just keep stacking those bricks, even if the bricks are not perfect. It just put the brick in the wall. And the final key to my success, I think, is just the amazing group of people that I have around me at all times. David writes great training and is constantly providing me with reassurance and support. Spencer was doing a lot of my workouts with me. I have a great athletic trainer who's able to do shockwave and needling, help me stay healthy. Of course, like having my family who is constantly supporting me. Training for half marathons, track, all of it, it's hard, and having a support system is key. Now for the biggest lessons I learned during this build-up. My biggest lesson was you don't have to do it in practice. The fastest mile I ever ran during training was 5:08, but my mile 13 was a 5:07. The most I ever ran at pace in practice was 2 miles, but on race day, I did it for 13. A month before the race, I was struggling to run 4 minutes at this pace, and then I did it for over an hour. So I think that just goes to show, look, maybe sometimes the numbers don't add up, but there's something magic about race day, and you always have to reserve belief that something crazier than what maybe shows on paper is possible. The second big takeaway is just that community makes it so much better. Like, we had such a fun group here for this race, and it's really nice being surrounded by people that all are working really hard towards these goals, but also having a ton of fun with it really helped me keep my nerves in check. Obviously, I still got nervous. I was freaking out, but I had so much fun before and after, and it's just great to have people to commiserate with beforehand with the nerves and celebrate with afterwards. Because we had such a big group, we did all of our meals together, and I had a little secret weapon to help us stay on top of groceries, which was Hungry Root. Well, we are in an Airbnb for our half marathon race, so I got my Hungry Root order delivered here. We don't have to worry about going to the store. It's delivered right to the door, and I was able to choose exactly what I wanted, and it'll be enough servings for everyone because you can customize the servings you get on each box. So I am very excited to open this up. Hungry Root is the easiest way to eat well. They're like your personal shopper and nutritionist all wrapped into one. Cooking for so many people could be overwhelming, but Hungry Root makes it stress-free by recommending groceries tailored to your tastes and nutrition needs and providing delicious recipes that are quick and easy to prepare. For our post-race meal, we had chicken shawarma wraps with sweet potato fries and salad, which everyone loved. I also ordered some snacks, breakfast options, and prepared meats so that we'll be fueled all trip. For a limited time, you can get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Click the link below or go to hungryroot.com and use code ALLIE. That's 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life at hungryroot.com with code ALLIE. Thank you, Hungry Root, for sponsoring this video. The third lesson is that it's okay to hurt really early on in the race. I didn't really feel comfortable other than the first mile of this race. It's not hard necessarily, but by mile 4, I'm like, I'm not comfortable. And I think that that's totally okay. And literally, like, at mile 10, I thought I can't keep going. But that leads to my next big lesson, which is that it will come in waves. There will be parts of the race where you feel great and strong and excited, and parts where you really doubt yourself and don't know if you can do this pace. And I think that's just natural when you're in your head for that long and focused and keyed in on trying to hit a pace. It's like you're gonna overthink it, you're gonna have a little bit of doubt swirling around. That's normal and it's okay. And you just have to ride those waves, go with the flow, and continually try to lean into the belief in yourself. And that leads into my last biggest lesson, which I kind of already knew before this race, but this just reinforced it. And that is, there's always something left. Like at mile 10, I really thought I had nothing left to give. But once I snapped my brain into it and was like, no, we're going for this, I started being able to pick up the pace, pick people off. And as I passed people, I gained more momentum and I felt stronger. And I was able to have a final kick at the end to move into 4th place for women. There's always something there. You just have to be willing to really dig deep and fight for it, because it does not feel like it's going to be there, and mentally it's hard to convince yourself it is there, but it is. It's just that next level you have to go to that I think is only available during a race. Now I'm going to go into how I think that I can improve, and the number one thing I would say is I would recommend having more than 6 weeks to train for a half marathon. Obviously I had a full year of training before I got surgery, so it's not like I was starting from ground zero, but it was a condensed buildup. If it had been 1 or 2 weeks shorter, I really don't think that I would have been ready at all, because my training did not start getting kind of good until like 2 weeks before the race. So in the future, I would love to have 12 weeks to build towards a half. Yeah, I think it would be advantageous. The next thing I could do to improve would be to hold stronger to the pace. Since this was my first half, I don't think I knew exactly what it would feel like. Well, I know that I didn't know exactly what it would feel like. So I was a little bit shocked with how early on it hurt, and also how early I felt like I was hitting that wall. But I do think that there was more in the tank. It just hurts really differently than track races do. So I got a little bit apprehensive too early. I wanted to run 5:25 to 5:20, and I was allowing myself to run 5:26 to 5:28 for a lot of miles. And I wish that I had kind of stuck to that strict pace a little bit more and given myself room to exceed my goal. In the future, I will know better to be okay with that pain and to be willing to push further through it and not feel like I'm risking bonking or falling apart. The next thing I think I could improve on is I do think I could have brought a gel for the race. I took one right before the race, but most of the people in the pack I was running in were taking gels. Even though it might not get into my bloodstream during the race, it would be nice to have it, because then it enters your mouth, your salivary amylase kicks off, it sends messaging to your brain like carbs are coming, and I think that might be like a really important mental boost I would need in that 8 to 10 mile range when you start having a lot of doubts and you still have quite a ways to go. Hey, I'm just recording a video. Do you want to say anything? Taylor, what did you learn?
Nothing.
She learned nothing.
I don't know. I think I learned not to take 2 gels in 45 minutes for the first time during a race.
Okay, so you learned the opposite. I learned I should take a gel. Taylor learned don't take 2.
Well, I think taking 2 is actually a great idea, but I haven't trained my gut to take gels that close together.
Yeah.
So what happened is I threw up.
I found Tay after the race, and there's like all these officials swarming her, and they're like, she's going down.
It was so embarrassing. I was like, I know I'm going down. I'm already on the ground. Shut up.
She's down. She's currently down. Oh, you did great though.
That was my takeaway.
Yeah, that's good. You know for next time.
Yeah.
The next thing I could improve upon is just believing in myself more. I've already talked about this quite a bit and in other videos, so I don't want to go too deep on this, but just in general, winter is a really hard time. Theoretically, I'm not in as good of shape as I would be during the summer because it's more the beginning of my training build, and it's hard to feel like good about myself, confident, happy, and really lean into that belief, especially like after this build of how much I was down on myself and then was able to actually run decently well during the race. I'm like, what if I had just, I don't know, not bullied myself for 2 months? Maybe it could have gone better. Who knows? And then my final thing that I could improve is just experience. Obviously, like I couldn't have actually done this for this race, but now I have one in the bag. I know what it feels like. I know what to expect. I know how training will translate to racing. I know how altitude will translate to sea level. So I feel like I learned a lot from this and I can use that all in the future in another half. And I'm really excited to do that because as much as I say like the race was hard and I hit a wall and mile 10 sucked, it's like I did love it. So those are my major takeaways from the half. During the last video, I did tease that I had a secret, and I fear I may have overhyped this romantic date. Didn't get. I know. The thing I was so excited about was Taylor and I's Valentine's Day date that we have been hyping up for weeks. However, we put it off a little too late into the day. Everything's closing, so now we're going to Chipotle. Here it is, our fine establishment.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Look at this.
Valentine's Day, baby.
Thank you. So the big secret was not running related or really a secret at all. It's just that I was excited to spend time with Tay, but we did name our little Valentine's Day date something a little risky. And that I can't say on camera, but it does rhyme with Swatentines. So anyways, that was the full half experience. I can't wait to try it again, and I learned so much. Thanks for following along, and I will be revealing what my next goals are very, very soon. Thanks for watching. That's all for now, folks.